My second upload today for the 23rd of December, Monday, the 23rd of December, um, is a little bit more serious of a concern involving the issues occurring in Tralee County, Kerry Ireland. Um, as I've mentioned in uploads, um, there's been human rights violations and most seriously medical negligence. I've stated how I've been very seriously affected by culprits of hate crime that have prevented me from attaining and acquiring the medical treatment that I require. So that's just the predicament at the moment, as well as the issue of being married since 2015 and deserted technically since 2016. The intrusions and interferences of individuals that have been exploiting and intruding and violating commenced sincerely in 2017. It's now the end of 2019 and there hasn't been any acknowledgement from politicians or authorities regarding the situation that's been caused for me by the culprits that are causing these problems for me. As I've stated, I've worked in the past since graduating from the University of Limerick in 2003 as a teacher. I worked in the Green School, I worked in Mount Talk School, I worked in Estelic School, Blennerville School, etc., etc., etc. My profession is a qualified educator. The obvious issues of being harassed from my homes is only symptomatic of the bigger issues that are being caused for me. Besides the fact that my legal rights to rectify the damages I've experienced physically and otherwise have been obstructed intentionally by the culprits that are causing this problem. As a victim of sexual assault in the past, and as a victim of revenge porn, and now currently as a victim of hate crime in a community that is turning a blind eye and actually just worsening the situation, I have a very huge concern with regard to the predicament being caused for vulnerable women in society. I have a very bigger concern about the role of authorities in society when it comes to the safety and well-being of women. And not just women, but children also. So, as I've said, this has been a systematic and very strategic assault of my constitutional rights. And as I've also unashamedly stated, the intention is to downgrade my role as a teacher and as a humanitarian and as a mother and as a wife. As I've said, there's property involved, and there's also my family that are involved in this issue. The issues caused have been ignored intentionally because of the scaremongering and the intrusion of those obstructing the assistance I require. I need to publicly share these uploads to put the record straight about my position. I am neither mentally ill, nor am I in any way involved in any criminal activity, and neither am I involved in any subjugation or suppression of any other ethnicity or any females in society. This means that as a result of what is happening and as a result of the defamation and misinformation being provided publicly by the culprits that are causing this problem, I am obligated to make my message very loud and clear that the politicians that I have contacted have ignored the fact that they have endangered me. And they haven't just endangered me, they've also endangered other innocent lives. So, as a teacher that has worked for the Department of Education and as a President's Award recipient and as a Duke of Edinburgh Award recipient and as, you know, a professional person, I'm wondering who is pulling the strings in this society to ensure that what I'm entitled to is being obstructed, and who is involved in the extreme efforts, I must say, and the huge expense involved in this vendetta of debasing and degrading a woman that is only concerned about well-being, recovery, health, family life, etc. Now, as I've said, I'm fully aware of the individuals involved. I'm also aware of their ill intentions. I'm also aware of what has been stolen from me. I'm also aware of the trespassing that has occurred. So, as a woman that would be concerned for all women when it comes to issues that are of concern for the Me Too movement and with regard to sex trafficking, etc., and, career choices that wouldn't be actually of a conscious choice or a preferred choice. I'm wondering, what are the authorities doing to safeguard innocent, vulnerable women in society, and especially victims of hate crime? Um, this situation has been going on and ongoing since 2015, since I got married and gave birth. Um, as a deserted wife, it's not only embarrassing for all involved, it's embarrassing for authorities and politicians not to be able to prioritize the well-being of vulnerable women. And it's not only insolent of the individuals that are pretending this problem isn't happening, and it's not only egregious of those that are, facilitating this wrongdoing, but I'm just wondering, um, what stance and what authority do those that are facilitating this violation of my human rights think that they have over the authority I have of myself for my achievements and for what I have worked for and for what I have earned? Um, whether people care to think about the bigger picture or not is their issue. But as a European with a clean record and a clean conscience and clean hands, I take great exception to the fact that there are individuals endangering me, threatening my role in society as a teacher and as a mother. And I am absolutely appalled and disgusted at the judicial system to think that a farce of what is occurring would be facilitated when it involves such serious matters. So I'm vaguely, but as clearly as I can possibly explain it, describing the predicament and endangerment that not only mental health professionals have facilitated, but authorities and politicians also. There have been my complaints brought to the knowledge and information of the Ombudsman, and there have been these issues discussed and shared publicly in society. That is common knowledge. This matter that's happening for me at this moment in Tralee, County Kerry, by those that might not know any better, but that need to understand the situation very carefully. The spiritual violence, as I reiterate over and over again, is damage enough done that wasn't ever compensated or repaired. Now, the damage done to a woman like myself is pretty serious, but for other women also, it's even just as such a serious. So, those predators in society that think that by threatening my safety with false claims, with mental health professionals that have already perpetrated unlawful detainments and that are involved in falsifying information that would anyway incriminate or endanger me further, are violating basically EU constitutional law for whistleblowers. Because as small and insignificant as the issues might appear for others, the wrongdoings are actually more serious when the facts are presented properly. The facts of the wrongdoings that I've experienced and the theft that I have experienced and the assaults that I've experienced are more than just a whistleblowing issue. It's a human rights issue. And whether Leo Varadkar wants to address this issue or not, I hope it comes to his cognizance at some stage the very serious matters that have been caused in this town and county. Because, as I've said already, what you facilitate is perpetuated. And if it happens to me today, how many women is it going to happen to tomorrow? So if there's any regard for women in society, if there's any regard for educators, if there's any regard for recipients of the President's Award, I wonder would they mind actually acknowledging the threat that has been caused by culprits of not just hate crime, but crime as well. And my sympathy and condolences to all married women deserted and all other families deserted by their spouses. The institution of marriage is obviously after becoming insignificant, and there's obviously unabashed shamelessness about having no regard for the marital institution in society. So those thinking that they can play Russian roulette with my human right to freedom and think that this matter is insignificant or that Emer Griffin McElligott is insignificant, I think they should cast their minds back to 2017, not only when the spiritual assault and violations were perpetrated, but even further back to 2015, when I gave birth and when I was married, and even further back again to 2005, New Year's Eve, when I was sexually assaulted, and between 2006 and 2007, when I was defamed publicly. So, to the mental health professionals, authorities, or politicians, I am stating very clearly, publicly, unashamedly, and explicitly that any facilitating of any further wrongdoings against me or any violations against my role as a teacher, mother, etc., 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 without any, harm caused to anyone, only complete intrusion and interferences by culprits with malicious agendas. I hope those professionals understand the seriousness of what's been happening. Because as a victim support groups need to be made aware of the predators in society and the threat to women's safety by those with no conscience or morals. So, this situation coming up to Christmas, for a victim of crime and a victim of hate crime, is not an issue for mental health services to be ever involved in. due to the fact that there are dangerous circumstances being caused by dangerous individuals making dangerous claims. I want for Christmas the authorities and politicians to address the wrongdoings that myself and my family have experienced as a consequence of individuals that have violated, that have exploited, that have stolen, and that have lied, and that have threatened the safety of Emer Griffin McElligott. So, with regard to any attempts of violating my human rights any further, and violating my right to freedom any further, rather than endangering me any further, I would appreciate it if authorities would confront the individuals and the culprits endangering women in society. So, as an advocate for women's rights, and as an advocate for human rights, and as an advocate for children's rights, I hope that the authorities understand not only the threat for me, but other women in society. And as I've said, the abuse of power is very dangerous, especially the misuse of power to manipulate circumstances to the culprit's liking. Because as I said, what you facilitate is perpetuated, and whatever happens with me today could happen with someone else again tomorrow. And if it happens to me today, what would be the circumstance if it was someone else's daughter tomorrow? So this is my second upload for Monday, the 23rd of December 2019. And as a woman who has been spiritually assaulted, that has experienced medical negligence, loss of earnings, etc., financial loss, and suppression and subjugation, etc., I hope the government of Ireland is fully aware of what it owes me.